Hello everyone, it's AG and today's video is a laid back, relaxed, chill type of update currently reading TBR video. I had initially planned to edit my bookshelf tour and manga tour video, but I was looking at the footage and it is awful. So the lighting is terrible and the audio wasn't good at all, and it would have taken me a really long time to fix, especially the audio. So I figured that once I go back home to visit my mother, I will try and give it another go. But I didn't want to go for a long time without uploading anything because 2021 I'm trying to be consistent here, so I figured I would just tell you what I'm doing reading wise. So first of all, I want to take it really easy this month because it's going to be really busy, and it has been very busy. As you can see, I am not in my typical filming space. I have moved out, and yeah, I'm really excited. Also, I just want to thank everyone for all of the kind and sweet messages on my last video. I felt so much support and so much love and warmth from all of you, and it was just really heartwarming to see that what I was saying was resonating with so many people and that it was comforting for some of you. So I just wanted to say thank you for just being so warm and kind here on the internet. So yes, as I was saying, I moved out. I am having my Japanese finals this week and next week, and I also started a new course within econometrics. I'm doing a project with regards to econometrics and operations research. So I'm going to try and take it easy with regards to reading. Nevertheless, I am currently reading this book, The Posthumous Memoirs of Brás, Cubas, and this was written by Maria Machado de Assis. And yes, this is an Afro-Brazilian classic. I featured this before on my channel just because the premise was so unique and interesting. And now I am reading it with my patrons over on Patreon, and I am really excited to discuss it this month. So to give you a quick synopsis of the book, the main character is Brás Cubas. He has died, and now in death he has decided to write his own memoir. And yeah, the book is the memoir, and I really wanted to read it because it's just such a weird and quirky premise in the first place, and it's nothing like I've ever heard or seen before in classics. I mean, this book, like I said, or did I say it? I don't know. This came out in 1881, which is almost 1.5 centuries ago, and it has such like a modern ring to it. It's very meta. I don't know, it's just really cool. So yeah, that's the only book I'm currently reading. Anyway, I had planned to read 4 other books, though they are on the shorter side, which is actually something that I really do enjoy. Like, books more than 250 pages often tend to wear me out. So yes, let's talk about the first one. This one is called Heaven by Mieko Kawakami, and it was translated by Sam Batt and David Boyd. Now, I really enjoy Mieko Kawakami's writing. Last year I read Miss Ice Sandwich, and I think I've spoken about this in like a wrap-up video, but this was a story about a little boy who sort of became obsessed with this lady who was selling ice sandwiches at his local supermarket, and it was from the perspective of the boy, and you just got to see the entire world as a kid again. And that's something that I really liked about Kawakami's writing, because it felt so incredibly real. I don't know, but it was a story that really touched me and really moved me deeply. So I'm really looking forward to reading Heaven. So I will just quickly read the synopsis for you. So it says, hailed as a bold foray into new literary territory, Kawakami's novel is told in the voice of a 14-year-old student who is subjected to relentless torment for having a lazy eye. Instead of resisting, the boy chooses to suffer in complete resignation. The only person who understands what he is going through is a female classmate who suffers similar treatment at the hands of her tormentors. So this novel is coming out on the 20th of April this year, and this ebook ARC was gifted to me by Europa Editions. So next up I have actually two classics, two Japanese ones from actually the same author, Osamu Dazai. So I have read two of his novels so far. Last year I read No Longer Human and The Setting Sun. I have reviewed No Longer Human plus the manga adaptation by Junji Ito, so I'll leave a link in the description box below. Nevertheless, I read The Setting Sun. I wrote my review, I just haven't filmed it, so hopefully that will come out in a month or maybe two, who knows. But yes, I really enjoyed No Longer Human, despite, well, it to say enjoyed, I really appreciated it because it's like really dark stuff. But yeah, I just had such an intriguing time reading into it on the internet, doing research for the video, and also for the video of The Setting Sun. Now the thing is that both of these books are from, I think, the last 2 years of his life, like 1945 and 1944, somewhere around that time. And I was really interested to see how his earlier work was, because apparently he went through quite a couple of, I wouldn't say transformations, but like just different directions in terms of literature. Because if you look at the older stuff, it's very melancholy, very dark and set in real life. But the two other books that I want to read this month are actually fairy tales, and I believe that he wrote both of these in the middle of his career. So the first one is Blue Bamboo. And Blue Bamboo is a collection of 7 short stories by one of Japan's preeminent post-war writers and prose stylist, Osamu Dazai. Not the typical romantic fantasies so often seen in Japanese writing, filled with water sprites and vengeful ghosts. These stories are a mixture of fantastic allegory, slightly skewed fables, and affecting romantic tales. Yes, so that's the first one, and this one has 184 pages, also not too long. And then we have this one, which I'm really excited about. It's called Otogizoushi, the fairy tale book of Osamu Dazai. So it says that Dazai wrote the fairy tale book Otogizoushi in the last months of the Pacific War. The traditional tales upon which Dazai's retellings are based are well known to every Japanese school kid, but this is no children's book. In Dazai's hands, such stock characters as the kind-hearted Oji-san to Oba-san, grandmother and grandfather, the the mischievous tanuki badger, the fearsome oni ogres, the greedy old man, the tongue-cut sparrow, and of course, Urashima Taro, the Japanese Rip Van Winkle, become complex individuals facing difficult and nuanced moral dilemmas. The resulting stories are thought-provoking, slyly subversive, and often hilarious. So the thing that I'm also, at least the thing why I'm really excited about these two books is because I have actually never really read Japanese fairy tales, so it would be cool to read retellings of that as well. Also, I'm very interested in yokai, which is like you it doesn't really have a direct translation to English, but you could say that yokai are kind of like Japanese, like supernatural entities, ghosts, monsters, ghouls, something like that. But I don't think that these two specifically deal with yokai, but just having that part of folk tales, the fairy tales stuff, getting into that would be really nice, and then I can kind of go off that and try and find more stuff. Yes. So the last book, also, yes, this is 123 pages, which is even shorter. So then I have Sorrowland by Rivers Solomon, and this one is set to come out on the 4th of May this year, and it is apparently getting published by MCD. I thought it was Saga Press. Anyway, never mind that. I'll read the synopsis. Van, 7 months pregnant and desperate to escape the strict religious compound where she was raised, flees for the shelter of the woods. There, she gives birth to twins and plans to raise them far from the influence of the outside world. But even in the forest, Vern is a haunted woman, forced to fight back the community that refused to let her go. She unleashes incredible brutality far beyond what a person should be capable of, her body wrecked by inexplicable and uncanny changes. To understand her metamorphosis and to protect her small family, Vern has to face the past, and more troublingly, the future outside the woods. Finding the truth will mean uncovering the secrets of the compound she fled, but also the violent history in America that produced it. So it has several tags. It has fantasy, horror, and LGBTQ+. So I am very, very excited for this book. I knew it was going to be a fantasy and it was going to feature LGBTQ+ characters, but I didn't know that it was going to be a horror, and I do love myself some horror. Yeah, and I have also read another book by Rivers Solomon, their book called, I think it was called The Deep, yes, and I did a review for that either last year or the year before that. The book centered the descendants of the women, the pregnant women who were thrown off of the ships during the slave trade, the transatlantic slave trade, and you can see how all of them are flourishing underwater, but also how they are trying to hold on to their history and trying to live with that history as well. It's really interesting. I'm doing a poor job of explaining it, but I do a better job in the video, so I'll leave a link in the description box down below if you're interested in that. So yes, I've read their work before. I really enjoyed it and I would love to read more of it. Very exciting that they're doing horror as well. So yeah, those were all of the books that I wanted to discuss, but before I go, I just wanted to mention a couple of things. First off, I will be hosting the Blacklit Challenge again. My apologies for the late announcement. I'm going to try and get an announcement video out in the next 2 days after my Japanese exam. So yes, I will be giving more information then. The second thing that I wanted to mention is this new imprint called Tor Nightfire, which is set to launch this year. Essentially, they've been doing a couple of stuff last year as well, but now they're actually starting to publish like novels, books. So I am not sponsored by them, but I'm just a huge horror fan. This imprint focuses on horror stories and tries to get out diverse horror stories, which is always awesome in my book. Nevertheless, I saw that the first book that they had announced kind of like officially is Certain Dark Things by Silvia Moreno Garcia, who you may know from Mexican Gothic. And yes, this one is set to come out on the 7th of September. So I actually got an arc of this, so I am going to try and read it like maybe in a month or two, so I will let you know once I have done that. Furthermore, I have loads of videos that need to come out. I just need to film them. I just really need to find some more time. But yes, regardless of that, I think that's the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoy the content that I make, perhaps consider joining my Patreon. It helps me a lot with just having a stable source of income so I can continue to make these types of videos. And if you want, you could also perhaps give me a coffee, so I'll leave a link in the description box below. And also, as usual, you can like, subscribe, comment, hit the bell button. All of those things just really help my channel to grow. And yes, like always, I always say I'm so thankful. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for supporting, and I hope to see you in another video. Bye.